But now let's move into a session that looks like a full cycle of building and leading a business. So starting up is often the spotlight is, but what follows is just as critical. Our next session, Beyond Entrepreneurship, Growth, Scaling Up, Succession, and Exit, brings together insights on how leaders navigate different stages of leading a venture throughout and strategically. So please join me in welcoming Alan and Krishnan, president of Team Up Corp, to the stage. Alan's leadership grew business in Rwanda, the ZAR, the US, Mexico, Canada, the UK, and Romania. And he also served on boards of multiple not-for-profit over the years. Let's give him a big round of applause.
It's such a pleasure to being in this August group where we have very successful founders who started with a vision, worked with passion, made it, and are here at a stage when often the thought is, what next? It's my honor to be with this eminent group and see how we can make a difference in whatever communities we live in. I still have to master how to make this move. It's not moving for some reason. Am I pressing anything wrong? Now I got it. Well, first, congratulations. Everyone here followed your passion. You're a successful founder, as I said, and over the years, you have achieved a lot of things. You have grown your business, entered new domains, new countries, new cities, states, whatever geographies you work in. Now you need to continue growing and stay ahead of the game and ahead of your competition, which seldom is the easiest thing in life because you really don't know what the competition is up to. You don't know what the market is. You don't know which politician in which part of the world will do some crazy thing and disrupt everything that you have planned and worked very hard for. So dealing with uncertainty is a major ability, talent to deal with what you have to deal with. And where you don't have the required talents, you find others who can help you. And that's where it is. And of course, more than everything, you need to meet your payroll regularly and fund growth. That is never to be ignored. Oops, now it went back for some reason. Okay, now we got it. Now, scaling up is the biggest challenge. Most founder-found organizations come up to a point, and then how do you jump over and get to the next level is a major challenge. And that's not just a matter of getting more working capital. You know the right people, or somebody is excited with what you're doing, you'll get the capital. But scaling up brings in a whole lot of other responsibilities, which is not to be taken for granted. Hiring more employees, you can always do. Buying more machines, you can. But how do you manage those employees and manage only the ones who need to be managed? Because as an eminent person said once, we don't hire smart people and tell them what to do. We hire small people and ask them what we should do. And that's what you're going to be doing as the founders. And as another famous person said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So you need to have people who think differently, specialized in whatever you need for growth of your business, which can be in technology, sales, marketing, just about anything that you can think of. Sometimes even managing your money is a talent which is critical for enterprises that are cash rich. Now, one of the key things is in today's world, manufacturing is important, it's great, but even manufacturing has a lot of employees involved. The service industry is completely employees involved, and what they need is employee benefits. By a show of hands, how many of you are in the United States? Okay, maybe 20%. You know the pain more than anybody else, particularly those living abroad, because one of the biggest challenges in our lives, particularly when you're a relatively smaller company, 150, 100 people, 50 to 100 people, under $10 million, $12 million, is providing your employees benefits. Sometimes, hey, I'm not interested in your salary, okay, but I need to have health insurance because I have a wife who could get pregnant and can have a premature baby, and then what do? It can cost $1 million, and I don't want to go bankrupt in the process, kind of a thing. So health insurance is critical. For your employee, yes. For the employee spouse, 10 times more critical. And for the employee's children, 100 times more critical. So you need a good health insurance plan. And over the last 30 years, I've dealt with various insurances for companies, clients, and others. And what always befalls me and makes me sad is the agent will, oh, you know what? The industry is doing 22% rate increase, but I have negotiated. I got you only 14% rate increase. Now, even 10% year-on-year increase in health insurance cost is unaffordable. From where single insurance I used to do at about $200, it's now $750. Sometimes, if somebody has a family, clerical or factory floor worker, their health insurance cost is almost as much as the payroll that you're paying them. I can hire somebody at $15 an hour, but health insurance costs me more than that, which is kind of crazy, but that's what the world is like. So we offer a phenomenal health insurance plan which does two things. First, it will reduce your current cost by at least 10%. I don't care what you're paying, what benefits you're doing. I guarantee you minimum 10%. Year on year, you will not hear this song of how your rate increase is much less than the market. Whatever rate increase you have suffered in the last 5 years, take the average, and I guarantee you the rate increase will be at least 10% less than that. These two are guaranteed. And the third, which is the most important, is depending on the health of your employees, the discipline they have, and so on, you will have tax-free savings reserve fund set up in your company, which we can discuss one-on-one. It's unbelievable. For example, there was a company in 2024, one of my clients who was wanting to exit. And obviously, when you want to exit, you want to be on your Sunday church best, like the bride looking your prettiest and so on. So in a business, you want to be as profitable as you are. For the whole year, the company never paid the health insurance out of their business operating funds. Entire thing was paid out of reserves, which was built up over the previous years. So there are strategic decisions one can take using these savings to advantage. What are the challenges with scaling up? The biggest one is it needs a change in mindset. You started, you're the boss, you're everything. That's great to take you up to a particular level, but beyond that, you need help. Bill Gates, one of the finest entrepreneurs of our century in our lifetime, very early in the game recognized he can't do it all. He got his buddy Steve Ballmer to deal with everything which he was not confident about. The finest management institute in Asia, Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, where I graduated from, the founder director was a visionary. He did a lot of things. Professor N.S. Ramaswamy, who's well known as Bullock Ramaswamy, he was very clear up front. There are certain things I can't do. Let me get the best administration person. His dean administration was a gentleman he hired who was in the Indian Administrative Service, put him out there. Whole bunch of circumstances, it turned out I married the dean's daughter. But apart from that personal benefit, the institute ran very well. So in your business, you need people whom you trust without question and who'll do the things that you need. And that's the first thing. And what you need to change the mindset is very easy. Just an open mind. It's the easiest thing to do if you're prepared to do it. And you need to accept your limitations and inability to effectively deal with growth. Now, beyond entrepreneurship, the next thing you want to say is this. You built up all this wealth, pride in a manner of speaking. Sometimes it could be humility at what you have achieved and how you've changed the world. All of that is critical, particularly for your team and your community. You don't want that to die when you retire or you die. And unfortunately, all of us have to die someday or the other. It's just a matter of when. So succession planning is critical. Now, if you have somebody in the family, awesome. It can be a child, it can be siblings, it can be anybody else. Employees, fantastic. Owner-driven companies, employee-owned companies are all wonderful. But if you don't have any of that, the only option is to exit, and exit is not easy. That is an area where you definitely need help, and you need help more than anything. You need to firewall yourself. So if something comes that is tricky, the person, oh yeah, I need to discuss this with the board and walk away. And then you can think it out and come out, and that's where you need somebody who can help you do that. And honestly, it's no different, and it's not at all easier than dating before you get married. Everything changes. The dates are fantastic. The moment you get married, everything changes. So if there is an acquisition, things will change dramatically. And if you don't prepare for it, it's doomed to fail, which is what happens to a significant number of mergers. and acquisitions don't grow they were supposed to be. I've had companies which went into bankruptcy after acquisitions simply because of mismanagement and inability to deal with the changes. And most critical, when there's a merger acquisition, you need to be sure that the culture you have built over the years of growing your company is not lost because of the thought process of the new management. And this is something, again, is an ounce of prevention is worth a ton of gold. So that's where the thinking is critically required. And the challenges of exit are the same as those of some of you might have heard, and I like to use this geographical connection of Indian arranged marriages, where we have a very simple philosophy. My origin is from India, is, hey, just take the boy and girl together, put them together, they'll work it all out. Even that is an illusion, because there is no boy, there is no girl. They have families. As one of our former leaders in the country said, it takes a village to grow a child. Whether you like it or not, there is a village to make your marriage work. And there's no getting away from it, and you have to work with them. So the first thing you need is a course mastering in dealing with people, emotions, egos, because all of that you find in abundance. And when you have a merger, that just multiplies exponentially. There was this great company I was working with, $25 million revenue. This was in the dot-com age when everything was gold. Close your eyes and you make $200 million, thought with everyone. The company was acquired for $380 million, $25 million CRM company in the Silicon Valley. What's their claim to fame? Yeah, the great CRM product, fantastic. But 100 million is a note they give you. 20 million is the cash they gave the company. And the rest of it was stock of the company. So what happened in 2 years? The note did not get paid. The startup which gave them that money to acquire could not raise the money. And so, oh my God, you owe $80 million in cash, so we are not going to fund you because the money will just go away. It's not going to help you grow in any way. They never raised the money. Stock, of course, was not even toilet paper because it's on bad paper. So that was trash. So the $25 million company was sold for $20 million effectively. And then the company shut down, filed for bankruptcy. And I was struggling to save them and retrieve whatever they had to from their own debtors, their clients, negotiating and getting things out. So these are common ills that happen. And all of it comes because people don't realize there are always the risk of one, the Indian arranged marriage syndrome, and the other, the multiple mothers-in-law syndrome. Most cases, you tend to have only one mother-in-law, but in these, you have multiple. Because everybody has their ego, everybody wants to dominate, and that is not easy to deal with. Now, you could possibly exit, sell to a private equity investor who's very focused. Hey, I want to make money. I don't care about anything. Slaughter anybody, kill anybody. I don't care. I just need to make money. They're very focused. If they know the business, good. If they have the sense to let you run the business, better. But that's wishful thinking. But sometimes it does happen. Now, you could have a strategic investor who says, hey, I'll put in a little money, get my feet wet, and then say how well you grow, and then we'll take it forward. That is always a very good thing, homogeneous, but always have the exit clause if things don't work out on what terms do we part, so that there's no disputes at that time which destroys the company. Now, you could accept a strategic investor who puts all the money and says, help me run the company for the next 3 years. No earnout, nothing. I'll pay you X amount of money per year to compensate you for helping me grow the company. That's the best ideal situation. And that's where you go for an outright change of control, hand it over to the buyer from the industry or somebody who has a strategic acquisition situation where they want your client base to sell something else that they do. So all of this requires a lot of thought and some brainstorming, particularly with somebody who doesn't agree with you, someone like me, for example, because that's when they play devil's advocate and make sure your progress is strong. Now, what next? As I said, irrespective of outright sale, PE, strategic invest, succession, you need to set your next steps. What happens? Who is your team for integration? That is critical because like every marriage, you need to make sure this works. The stakes here are much higher. In our society, okay, I get married, it doesn't work out, bad decision, we'll part as friends, we won't cut each other's throat, and we'll move on and find somebody else. Here you might have just lost 20, 30, 40, $50 million, and then you're up the bad creek. So that's very critical. You need to be planning for it and doing it really, really very well. Now, the preparatory steps are not trivial. You need to lay the foundation, which is strong, and you don't start it when you start talking of exit strategies, exit options. You want to do it now when the company is growing, so your entire team is aware that one day this will happen, so let's plan and prepare for it. Now, we cannot ignore the society we live in, the age we live in. For example, we have a generation where a girl who's not yet a teenager was telling me about how stressed she is. She is a child. What a horrible society we are in if a child has to be stressed. If you're stressed out, that's part of life, tough luck. You started a company, you stuck your neck out. Stress is part of it, but how well you manage it is up to you. You're an adult, you can deal with it. But if a child talks of stress, it brings tears to my eyes. How much we have messed up. And then I live in suburbs of Washington, D.C., and Loudoun County is among the top 5 richest counties in the world. It is the internet hub of the world. There are so many data centers, it's not funny. Most of the girls in high school are members of the LGBT society. Not because they are active lesbians or something, but they're just there. Why should a girl in high school talk of sexuality or think about it? Her focus is enjoy life, study, educate, do something for the community and move on. Unfortunately, our society, politicians, administrators in the education have all messed up, and they tell children in elementary, oh, it's okay, honey, you can love anybody. Because someone thinks that girl has lesbian things and they need to tell her it's okay. This is where our society has shrunk and degraded, and the ones who are paying the price are our children. So we need to be conscious that those children are the ones who are going to grow up in 15, 20 years and come and work in your company. And you have to undo all the nonsense that society has put into these minds. So you need to have a management team that works well. You need to have key employees. And Bill Gates was one of those people who, again, he had 10 people. He said, without them, my company will collapse. So no matter what happens, they are wedded to me for life. And that's what you need to do. Define your number, define the people, the functions. But you need to have a team which will never, ever leave from you. They are with you until exit goes apart. I won't say death do you apart as in marriages, but certainly until exit comes in. And one of my good friends who runs and exit a company 5 years later, he celebrated with all his key employees. We bring them all an all expense paid visit to Las Vegas, including gambling money. He gave them all tokens and said, now let's have fun. He celebrated 5 years after he exited for like $160 million. He expressed his gratitude. So that's the kind of team that you really require. Now I've listed all of the challenges that we have to face and some solutions on what is to be done. And you, the leader, have the most at stake. So you have to look at what is best for you. Everybody's priorities are different, and define your priorities and get the help to do that. Accept the reality of exit. Do not live in denial that everything is hunky-dory, because it never is. You have to invest your time in your priorities, which will work for your company, because what will work for your company is not necessarily going to work for some other company, and what worked for somebody else may not work for you. Now, at this conference, we have several very creative, enterprising experts, entrepreneurs and otherwise, who have invested time and resources to come here and share their experience. Evaluate the expertise of those you'll find in the catalogs of the participants here and see which of them can possibly help you and get aligned with them, connect with them and see how you can do. To help in this direction, I'm going to set up a virtual conference, a virtual team. in the name of my company, Team Up, where you will have connection with everybody with different resources who have participated in these conferences. And then you can reach out to whomever you would like to for your needs, because the participants here are vetted. Every founder and everybody else who's here, professional providing services, have their credibility established, and that's why they are here. The delegates who come here are committed. They want to learn something, and you never know where you'll find useful talent. And the 3-day conference, by the time you sit through a few of these lectures and other things and go, you have hardly any time to really meet anybody and get to know them. So that is something we are going to be providing to provide the most beneficial Team Up organization. Now, I want to share something. In my mid-early 20s, I developed India's first customer loyalty program for a shoe company, which was a national shoe company. It's the largest company. We had over 300 retail stores and about 10,000 wholesalers who used to distribute our shoes. And I was a stamp collector, which is called a philatelist, and I was quite accomplished. And the managing director of this company was a distinguished philatelist. And one day, by sheer chance, I got to have lunch with him. And he said, you know what? Nobody in our country is teaching children the value of collecting postage stamps and learning from it. And if anybody did it, I would support it. Now, I sought the appointment with him, and instead of calling me to his office, he called me for lunch at the Bombay Taj Hotel, which is the most fancy hotel in the country. And that's when he told me this statement. And I went back to Mysore, small town where I lived, and developed a program. In those days, we had a typewriter. You type and push it to change the lines. I sent him a proposal by the postal service, putting a stamp. Eventually, it reached him. He loved it, gave it to his PR manager who loved it, gave it to his advertising company. They were overwhelmed. They called me back to Bombay. We had a meeting. We launched the Corona Stamp Collectors Club. Very good process. First year, one state, Karnataka, where I lived. Second state, South India. Third year, all India. And I did this while I was in my grad school doing my MBA program at the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Guess what happened in the fourth year? We were the largest philately club in the entire world with over 26,000 members. No computers, no email, no internet, no Wi-Fi, nothing. Just old-fashioned, write on a paper, put a postage stamp, sent it. I had a staff of 6 running this club. The budget for my club was the same as the payroll for 20 graduates from my class of 1981 at Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, which in today's numbers would be like a few $1 million. It is a customer loyalty program we did there. And the growth was fantastic. And these are kind of programs which you could consider for your company. And the reason I mentioned this one is I owe my entire life to Corona and Gyanchan Jain, who was the president, the managing director, who gave me these opportunities. And my passion is for students, because I was passionate about the hobby and working with students. And the students were beyond imagination. So I have a program to educate children, tutor them, and get them all to do better than they are, which can be sponsored by founders' companies in their own communities. Anybody who has an interest, let's talk about it separately. I also have a sponsor table here. Come over there, we can discuss. And all of these for anybody who's from this conference, whether we meet or I reach out to you later and we connect. Everybody from this conference will get a 50% discount on prices, and it will be really, truly life-changing. Now, one critical question. Are all your leadership only at your business? Is your work the only place where you are the founder, where you need support? Think about it for a moment. It is a bit of a trick question. No, you aren't. You also have a home, which is the most important place where you lead. The businesses you sell, your family you don't sell. You created your family and you're responsible for them. And that's where you lead. Never ignore your leadership team at home, which is your spouse, your children, possibly parents, parents-in-law, siblings, and others. So you need to be sure you exercise everything you do at your business 100 times more seriously at your home. The business, what the hell, sell it, get some money, you buy another new business, or hey, you're a founder, you can always found another company and move on, but not the family. Now, why me? And why now? because I have extensive experience in Asia, Africa, Europe, North America. I have out-of-the-box thinking, which I believe is my middle name. Your growth is my priority if I'm working with you. Nothing else matters. And as I said, I work on a very unique pricing model of a retainer and bounty pricing. I make enough of a retainer to make sure you're committed to it. I once had a client who paid me $10,000 a month for 3 months. And during the 3 months, met me 3 times for a total of under 3 hours. And at the end of 3 months, we stopped. I said, it's pointless. You're wasting your money. And that's when I came to this conclusion that fee would be much less as a retainer. And then you pay me based on the success, the bounty. And if you don't succeed, then maybe I'm not the right fit for you, or your company is not meant for growth, and that we will jointly decide what's the best way. And as I said, everybody who's at this conference till probably the end of April or even 15th of May will get 50% of normal pricing as conference discount. Now, this is a tail end that I want to present to you on something which is very critical in today's world. Everybody has users in your organizations, whether it's your clients, your employees, and anybody else. We need to make them fans of your organization. You are a rock star, and you need followers who are loving the rock star and following you. And one of the ways to do this is using gamification for growth. The results will please you, and it'll expedite growth and success of your company. Now, I request my colleague Anirudh, who is the expert in gamification, to come and deliver a few critical thoughts on it. And after that, we'll have a few minutes of Q&A. Anirudh.
Thanks, Alan.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
This mic is very good.
Oh, that's
All right. Am I audible? Great. So let's begin with a short game. Let's go back. Let's anti-age. Let's begin with the game of rock, paper, scissors. Everybody ready? And you got to tell me at the end how many of us beat me. How many of you beat me, right? It's all the room versus me. Ready? It's rock, paper, scissors, shoot. All right? Ready? Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. How many beat me? Excellent, excellent. That's exactly why you need fans. Most of the service-based businesses are after customers and clients. Their entire systems are based on building workflows to transform target audience into customers. But here's the challenge. Customers who are happy will not return, right? And that is the reason it's important to build fans. And I have been absolutely passionate about video game design. I've built my entire career out of it. I'm a master's in game design, and I've delved into what's called gamification and back in 2013, and then made some notes about it in my book called Gamify Your Life. And here is the transition you have from user base all the way to fans. You have target audience turned into prospects, turned into leads, turned into customers, turned into repeat customers. Now you're building fans who are in turn turning into super fans. Now that's how you build a fan-centric journey. And not just the big companies like Domino's or Pizza Hut are building fan bases. Any company can build fans. Think of one nameless company who's creating an app of language learning called Duolingo. How many of you have heard of Duolingo, right? Duolingo created a fan-centric approach from day one. And guess what happened? Within a decade, they actually had 67% of market share. Never happened in the history of any other company. Because humans are wired for play. We love progress. Now here, you have to build two types of fans. Number one, you have to turn your target audience into fans. Number two, you got to be able to turn your direct employees into fans. How many of you have employees? What if your employees are your super fans, peak performing, and now they're innovators and leaders and creators telling you what to do instead of you telling them what to do? And that is the power of gamification. Gamification is the idea of bringing elements from video games to solve real-world problems, especially in creating fan-centric approach. So here's a simple flow. You create a trigger, and then people act upon it, and then they get real-time feedback, and they get a reward, virtual or physical, because human brain cannot understand the difference between a physical reward and a virtual reward, and then they identify themselves. And the loop continues. This happens in your employee journey as well as your target audience journey. Now, we have Duolingo that has streak addiction. Spotify is gamified. LinkedIn is gamified. Coursera is gamified. Facebook is gamified. Yahoo Mail is gamified. Instagram is gamified because lately it has created leaderboards. So employee performance, it dramatically boosts employee performance because you have gamified dashboards. They perform, they overwork in a positive way. Now they have constant dopamine hits, right? And Nike did it. And guess what? With 50% of engagement design, you can generate 30% of retention boost and 20% of retention and performance multiplier. And that is how you not just grow, scale, but you're building a fan-centric business that are absolutely craving to be engaged in you. And with this, I want to thank you, and I wish you create fans both from your employee perspective and your target audience perspective. Thank you very much.
You know, when you have these back-to-back events as we have at this conference, there's very little time. We started a little late. We are finishing a little late. So if anyone has any critical question, please ask like one or two questions. If not, no questions time. We are available. We have cards. We have a table. We have a booth. Please come. Take a picture of this if you like. That way you have contact information on the phone. And thank you all for your patience. And my apologies to our award ceremonies.